Today, as we see, we have these caption lines. Always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope. First, we'll read these lines and also we'll take up some more stanzas. So let us first go through this whole passage. It's a very interesting one, of course. Always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope. A burning witness in the sanctuary regards through time and the blind walls of form. A timeless light is in his hidden eyes. He sees the secret things no words can speak and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery of the journeying years. But all is screened, subliminal, mystical. It needs the intuitive heart, the inward turn. It needs the power of a spiritual gauge. Else to our waking mind's small moment look, a goalless voyage seems our dubious course. Some chance has settled or hazarded some will, or a necessity without aim or cause, unwillingly compelled to emerge and be. In this dense field, where nothing is plain or sure, our very being seems to us questionable. Our life a vague experiment, the soul a flickering light in a strange ignorant world, the earth a brute mechanic accident, a net of death in which by chance we live. All we have learned appears a doubtful guess, the achievement done a passage or a phase, whose farther end is hidden from our sight, a chance happening or a fortuitous fate. Out of the unknown, we move to the unknown. Ever surround our brief existence here, grey shadows of unanswered questionings, the dark inconscient signless mysteries stand up unsolved behind fate's starting line. An aspiration in the night's profound, seed of a perishing body and half-lit mind, uplifts its lonely tongue of conscious fire towards an undying light, forever lost. So, this is what Sri Aurobindo is leading us to. He is giving us an impression of what man's life now on earth is. So, first, always we bear in us a magic key concealed in life's hermetic envelope. So, what he says, always we bear in us a magic key. There is a key, but that key is concealed behind life's hermetic envelope. Now we'll have to understand what is hermetic envelope. We can understand it in two ways. Hermetic envelope, first, hermetically sealed is a term that by which we know that it is airtight. It is so tight that nothing can enter in. It is hermetically sealed. Hermetic envelope. And secondly, hermetic has another suggestion also, another meaning also, which is secret, hidden. So here Sri Aurobindo has brought the analogy so beautifully. Now we'll see it. Always we bear in us a magic key, concealed in life's hermetic envelope. Our life normally is full of all those humbugs. We engage ourselves in so many things outwardly. We busy ourselves with things which we think to be very important, but with the passage of time, the true meaning deludes. We find finally that all those things which we thought to be very important in our life now doesn't have any value at all. But initially we do not know. So all these are, as we discussed earlier also, are driven by the sensory perception of things. All the five senses are behind it, through which we engage ourselves to outward things, to outer things, and we do not give any chance our outer mind or the whole being, our whole being, do not give any chance for anything deeper to creep in, as if it is sealed and nothing can enter into its periphery. That is why he has brought this analogy. Concealed in life's hermetic envelope, our life is such that it remains on the surface only, and it doesn't know, or for that matter, ignorant and engage with the outer things only. Even if there comes at times some promptings from within, which comes from that magic key. And what is that magic key? We'll find out now. So even if that promptings come, we do not pay any heed to these things, because we are very much preoccupied with outer things in life. A burning witness in the sanctuary regards life, regards through time and the blind walls of form. A timeless light is in his hidden eyes. He sees the secret things no words can speak, and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery of the journeying years. Now, sanctuary, what is the sanctuary? It is a sacred place, a holy spot within us. A burning witness in the sanctuary. That burning witness is what? The self, the Purusha, the divine presence, which we call. It is the magic key which he is referring in the previous line. So it is there within us, deep within us, and from there the self, the divine presence, regards everything. It is like a witness which watches through succeeding periods of time all we go through in life, the eventful life, everything, every happening, all that we do, all that we become. It watches through the passage of time, but also he sees the secret things no words can speak. While regarding life as such, whatever is going on, he also, this presence, this self, also sees everything, and whatever it comes to its range of things, everything that comes within its range, it lights up and knows he sees the secret things no words can speak, and also there are secret things of which normally the outer being is not accustomed to know. This self, this presence, knows, and also knows what the goal of the unconscious world, the whole world, for that matter the whole of humanity, towards which direction it is heading, even through turmoil, even through difficulties, at times seemingly difficult. It becomes almost a riddle that what is what actually. We do not know, although we think something, but it doesn't bear fruit in such a way we expect, and we land up in something which is not to our expectation, and it becomes then a riddle. We do not know where we are heading to. But this self not only regards life as such, but knows also in which direction it's moving, and also knows that it has a goal also towards which it is moving. That is why it is imperative for us to go inward. Sri Aurobindo has time and again told whoever is on the path that go within, find there the divine presence, and that presence being the presence of the Divine Mother herself, a portion of the Divine Mother, and through that we can have access to all the ranges, all the planes of consciousness. So that is the first step, which is called the psychicization, which we discussed earlier also. So after that, what we find, he again says that, but all is screened, subliminal, mystical. It needs the intuitive heart, the inward turn. It needs the power of a spiritual gauge. Now he says that there's a screen separating that inner consciousness, inner awareness from the outer one. The outer always stops us, engaging us with the outer things always, thus stopping us from going inward and get access to the inner existence which we have inside us, that sanctuary of which he spoke. And this is mystical, screen, subliminal and mystical. Now we'll have to know subliminal, of which we earlier discussed also, but still again we will see what is subliminal. Subliminal is that range, vast ocean, we can say, of consciousness. It is very important in Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. Actually, it is not philosophy. In fact, it is the true vision of things through which he has gone and has always been taking us also So this subliminal is the range of consciousness. In one hand, it goes right down to the consciousness downwards to subconscious, and again it extends to the upper realms of the consciousness, which we know by the name of superconscient, starting from all higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive overmind, supermind, and also the triple poise of the unmanifest, that is Sat, Chit and Ananda. So this is the wide range which is called the subliminal, and this subliminal is aware of everything which finally translates into the physical. All those powers which are operating in the universe finally effect their functions from those ranges, different ranges of consciousness in the subliminal, to percolate down to the surface. So until and unless one is aware, one can have access to the subliminal, one doesn't know how our life can be made fruitful, how we can lead perfectly a life without suffering, without difficulty, and still go forward towards which our aim of existence is, that is to be perfect and a part of the divine. And for that, what it is written here, let's see. It needs the intuitive heart, the inward turn. It needs the power of a spiritual gauge. Of course, it needs an intuitive heart, a heart which is reigned by the intuition, that particular plane which is called intuition. Intuition is the direct perception of things. One can have access, can go beyond the surface of anything, whatever it is, by direct perception of that particular thing, and that faculty can be accessed or organized in our life or acquired through having contact with that plane of consciousness which is called intuition. So it needs an intuitive heart. The inward turn also. We'll have to turn our life inwardly towards the soul, towards the psyche. It needs the power of a spiritual gauge also. Again, the sight has to be a spiritual one. There are so many sights like intellectual, aesthetic, ideal, sensual. But what we need most is the spiritual gauge. This particular gauge is what? It brings the power to effect things in the right direction. Other whatever gauge we have been discussing, like aesthetic, intellectual, sensual and ideal, all these have their limitations in themselves. So they cannot go beyond a certain degree, beyond a certain extent. But if we have that spiritual side, that can be very effective in dealing everything. So first, what we need, intuitive heart, an inward turn, and then also a spiritual gauge. Else to our waking mind small moment look, a goalless voyage seems our dubious course. Some chance has settled or hazarded some will, or a necessity without aim or cause, unwillingly compelled and emerge and be. Otherwise, what will happen? Our waking mind small moment look, a goalless, our life will seem to be a goalless voyage. Although we journey through different incidents, to different aspirations, we reach somewhere. We thought that this will be like this. It will be a beautiful this thing spot where we can rejoice after having achieving this. But finally, we'll end up somewhere else to realize that it is not so. So all these things are there which seem to be perplexing, and it actually doesn't see things in the proper perspective. It cannot see, because this does not bear the true power, the true sense to get the total picture. So it cannot effectuate things perfectly. To this small mind, our life appears to be an uncertain course of journey without goal. It seems our life's journey seems to be a voyage without goal. That is why he says, else, if we do not bring in those contexts of intuitive heart, inward turn, and the spiritual gauge, then what will happen? He says, else to our waking mind small moment look, a goalless voyage seems our dubious course. Some chance has settled or hazarded some will, or a necessity without aim or cause. Our life seems to be a necessity in which we somehow accidentally come in, take birth, but the farther end we do not know. And we are compelled to be. In this dense field where nothing is plain or sure, our very being seems to us questionable. Our life a vague experiment, the soul a flickering light in a strange ignorant world, the earth a brute mechanic accident, a net of death in which by chance we live. Our life seems to be a thick, opaque field. Opaque is not transparent, something not very transparent. So we lead a life which is very complicated. We do not know what is going to happen tomorrow or day after, because all are so complex. When we look at ourselves at times, are dubious whether we really exist or not. Our very being is questionable to ourselves. Whether we exist or not, that also seems to be somewhat very hazy. A flickering light, our life a vague experiment, the soul a flickering light in a strange ignorant world. Even what we call a soul, it also has some kind of a flickering in small teeth and beats, sometimes it gives us a respite by its force, but it also cannot fully take up our lives in this ignorant world, which is beset in ignorance. The earth, a brute mechanic accident, a net of death in which by chance we live, as if the whole earth is a brute mechanical accident. It doesn't know from where it has come and where it is moving to. It seems it is a peculiar situation for the whole lot of humanity, until and unless it realizes that enough is enough. Then they search for something else, the truth of things. Then dawns the divine presence in whatever way it may come, even through a single word, through someone, through books, through someone's own realization inwardly. But till then, the whole multitude, the whole of humanity moves very slowly through all this hazy path of which he is unaware. He keeps on moving, but without knowing where he is moving to. But finally, it is only because of the divine presence, the self of which he spoke, concealed in life's hermetic envelope, when there becomes a chink in the outer sheath, those layers, then what happens gradually, in small doses, soul's powers starts working. And gradually our outer being also, outer members also open themselves, though we in a very, very slow manner, to the powers within, which emanates from the soul. Then that is the first phase, which is the psychicization of the being. Then opens up the spiritual ranges of consciousness, which we happen to know now, which has been given to us by Sri Aurobindo, all those planes of consciousness right up to the supermind and also beyond. So until and unless that happens, the whole of humanity moves in through turmoil, difficulties. So all these, whatever he has written in Savitri is magnificent. We often hear that it is very hard. Savitri is very, it goes over the head. Yes, it goes only if we do not stick to it. If we have a kind of an aspiration, slowly and slowly, the Lord Himself extends His hand and takes us along and opens us so many things that we become dumbstruck at times. We just keep on wondering how come that this particular line of Savitri, which I couldn't understand at all. I couldn't make any head and tail of this particular line. Now I think it makes some kind of a sense. And let another 4 or 5 months pass by, then you get another meaning of it. Of course, a little higher than what I had earlier, the understanding, I mean. So the more we try to sink into Savitri, the more we rise up in our consciousness. And there is no bound to this ascension. So it is the more we keep ourselves engaged or try to come across Savitri, even if it be for a momentary this thing time, for a very few moments, even like 10 or 15 minutes, if we read it aloud, but with a perfect modulation, proper pronunciation, with an aspiration behind it, then gradually we see how we are being led. Because it is, the whole book is, as the mother says, the whole Savitri is crammed, the whole universe is crammed rather in Savitri, right from the creation. So what better way to come closer to the divine than be in touch with Savitri always. So let us conclude here itself. Jai Ma. If you have something, please. Okay.